Bowling.
Rolling.
Jeff Wilson, take 11.
Hold on, I've done the first one. I'm not 11. Man, let's take one. Let's take one. Don't put me in, category. Hi, I'm Jeff Wilson, All Black number 935, and this is my trophy cabinet. Every All Black has proud moments, and this is the first of them. And for me, this is my first Test jersey, and the only one ever that I played in that had long sleeves, because it was at Murrayfield against Scotland in the Northern Hemisphere in November. It was about 0 degrees. We got changed in some pop-up tents out the back because the stands at the new Murrayfield hadn't been finished. So there was this massive, beautiful brand new stand, but they hadn't built any changing rooms. You thought they would have built the changing rooms before they did everything else. But, so it was about 0 degrees, but it's always a proud moment. I was on the wing. It had been a crazy, crazy year in 1993. I'd played cricket for New Zealand at the start of the year, somehow managed to find my way in an All Black team to go on tour. I'd never been to the Northern Hemisphere. It was just a wonderful experience, a great group of guys, people I'd competed against, and then you get the opportunity to wear this for the first time. So it's a haka for the first time in a Test match, just singing the national anthem. And all you want to do is do the jersey proud. And for that group, they gave me a great opportunity to do that. And to get a couple of tries, maybe 3, was pretty handy. To kick a conversion, and you think about all your dreams coming true as a rugby player, and the very first time in a Test match you get to do that, it's humbling, but it was crazy. It was a whirlwind. It was hard to believe. And I'm grateful to everyone that was involved in that journey to get me to that point, because it's a day I'll never forget. So what I got here is a picture of a Springbok head, and you go, why have you got that? Well, it's to mark the day that Otago beat the Springboks when they toured New Zealand. So in 1994, so this is the first time South Africa had been back into New Zealand after their return from isolation. And so not only do they play Test matches, of course, they come and play against the provincial unions. And this was at Carisbrook, and it was comfortably one of the worst days you'd ever want to play a game of rugby. In fact, they considered cancelling the game because Carisbrook virtually had, it was like 2 inches of water across the whole paddock. It had been teeming down for pretty much 48 hours. They decided to go ahead with the game. And one of those things about Otago at the time is that we weren't the best team in New Zealand, but it didn't matter who we played. We thought we had and believed we had a chance to win. So this was an opportunity to create history. And so we had an unbelievable game, because in the first minute of the game, Stephen Bishop gets a kick charge down and they score, and we're behind on the scoreboard. And you're thinking, how are we ever going to get back? And I was the goal kicker on the day, and we scored 1 try. There was nothing in it. It was 19-12, the final score. But when I was having to kick for goal, and in those days, there was no tees. And to be fair, if there were kicking tees, this thing would have just floated away. So we used to kick on sand, The old days we used to do the old, use your feet to, well, those are gone, you bring out the sand. And so the ball boy comes out, and I was making this mound to put the ball on top of, to try and kick it off. And I think of the kicks that went over, I only missed one on the day. They all only just got above the crossbar because I had no planting foot. The ball was sitting in a funny angle. But it was, to me, it was everything that put me put me on the map with this group and gave me the confidence to keep playing. And this was in 94. And this group of players, we knew how to celebrate this. I was a young man at the time. And it's only sort of later in life you understand what it means, because those tours don't happen anymore. And I hope to see one day maybe South Africa comes back and plays the provincial teams, because I remember at the time how much this meant to us. There are days, there are seasons, there are groups of men. In 1998, we went through a national provincial championship, the New Zealand Cup at the time, and with Otago, we won a title. We did something that hadn't been done there for a long time. but it was the way we went about it and who we got to celebrate it with. And this is the jersey from the final. I'm just trying to decide if I was bigger back then. I'm not sure, but clearly I was. I wonder if I even washed it. I probably didn't get that dirty, to be fair. But for us, this is sort of we've got a reunion coming up, and everyone's going because this meant so much to us at the time. And it was such a party for the people of Dunedin, not just us as a team, because we'd entertained for years. We'd been that side that had won against the odds, and then we became a favourite, and it was a matter of whether or not we could win. And you talk to a lot of people, their second favourite team in New Zealand is Otago, because there's a connection somewhere along the line. There's someone who's studied there, who's been there and enjoyed it, whether it be 2, 3, 4 years. Some people only last 1 year, but they've been a part of it and understood it. And interestingly enough, we've celebrated with them, because the culture that we had down there is, after games, when you went into town, it was with everybody. And there was 2 different distinct groups though. You'd had the main stand who had been Otago supporters, you think about it, for 20, 30, 40 years, who had always bought their season's tickets. And then you've got this, I suppose, rotating group of fans that are on the terrace, but they're there through the energy, to be part of something special. And Carisbrook on its day, when the sun was shining, was something special. So this was on a game against the Waikato in 1998, a final where we'd been on a tear, we'd smashed Wellington, we'd smashed Taranaki, we got to a final, and it was sort of never in doubt. And that night, I won't lie to you, that week, and we still celebrate it as a group, was one of the best weeks of my life. Because when you're achieving it with a group of people you spend a lot of time around with, you know, you come and go with the All Blacks, you know, you're in for a short period of time, but you're with these men going through it every single year. And I'll tell you what, man, it was fun. There were some great memories. We had a fantastic time. This is actually a replica of the trophy that I won. But this is the Cal Tremaine, which is when you get judged the best player in New Zealand for a season. So in 1997, I was part of some fantastic teams who played really good rugby, but at the same time, I think it was probably where I was at my best. And the game's changed, as we know, and it was starting to change. But this is when, you know, I think the All Blacks in particular were a fantastic team. We played such great rugby, and I was playing at all levels. So I was playing Super Rugby, you played All Black Rugby, but you still played for Otago. So it was a matter about being consistent wherever you were every single week. And so when you get given this, and this is a replica of it, and it tells you for a given season that your peers and the people who judged the game said that you were one of the best, if not the best. And so it's sort of, I look back at that and go, you know what, you know, I was able to prove to people that I could play this game, you know. And so once you've got that, and no one can take that away from you, it's sort of, you look back and you think about what it means to you. And I know along the way, and this is what, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but, you know, in some ways, you know that you've entertained people, you've gone out, and the way I wanted to play the game, the attitude that I had towards it, I was lucky on teams that wanted to throw the ball around. It gave me the opportunity to do the things I could do. It was almost a mark for them as well, that if you're an outside back and you're winning this trophy, the only way you can do that if you're playing the game right. And I think for me, in those early years through 95, 96, 97, we played the game right. You know, we created, I reckon, the modern way the game could be played. This was an iconic team for so many reasons, but when you start going front to back, you start talking about the talent that was in the side, but more importantly, the legends that were in this group. And when you're, you know, getting a chance to be around a Sean Fitzpatrick and a Zinzan Brooke and a Robin Brooke and an Ian Jones, and, you know, the experience of that group, the talent of that group. You know, Justin Marshall was establishing himself as one of the great halfbacks in world rugby. So when you're playing with those sorts of guys, it just gives you great confidence, you know. And for me, there was some changing of some players at the time, but, the likes of, obviously Jonah was around, and there was Oz through a period there, and Cully, and you get the sense, Ian Jones, that these are just legends of the game. And so, you understand when you're an All Black that there's a legacy you're trying to uphold, and you want to leave the jersey in a place that the next person can pick it up and feel as though they want to do it justice. This group, this year, we've been undefeated as an All Black side that year. I think they upheld that legacy of the jersey. And so to be able to contribute to that, to be part of a great team, to have played with some great players, and then to contribute and to be recognised with this, if I look back in my career, clearly one of the most, the proudest moments you could have as an All Black. You always have great memories of great games, and if you can create history. In 1996, the All Blacks toured South Africa. It was the first Tri-Nations, but more importantly, there was a 3-test tour where we were trying to create history. And clearly there was some motivation, determination from not winning the 1995 Rugby World Cup final. So we wanted to change history. We wanted to do something that no one else had ever done, and almost validate that group of players, that team. And so to go there, to win at Pretoria, which was the second test, which we knew we had to do, because going to Johannesburg was going to be virtually impossible to win at the back end of a campaign, and to play possibly one of my best games in the All Black jersey, or to have a couple of moments, and I'd say that, where it was influential in us going on and winning. And the journey that group went through, it was a remarkable journey. And then at the end of it, I think because of the couple of tries, I don't think the individual performance across 80 minutes was anything but remarkable. I don't even know who selected the man of the match for that game. But afterwards I got presented with the Winfield Rugby. I didn't even know what was inside at the time. They just presented it to me, I shook hands, thanks very much, it's great. And then I got back to the changing room, and I couldn't wait to get back to the changing room because there was a celebration going on. I'm not even in a couple of photos, to be fair, but and then I opened it up and it's a Krugerrand, and it says man of the match. And so when you're the man of the match of a game which created history, it's just something special, and when you talk about memorability, you talk about history, you talk about legacy, for me, it's always going to be a great reminder of being part of doing something that had never been done before. And everyone's got teams and groups that you look back at and you go, that group was something special. That 96 tour group, every single one of that tour group, not just the players who played, not just the reserves, but all the people we called on, the support group who played the midweek games, the coaching staff, the nuns, our fans, the thousands of people that toured South Africa, who'd gone over there to watch us create history. The fans were unbelievable. And so when you look at that, it's once again, it's a representation of them. And when you've got someone coming up to you and saying, I was on that tour, I was at that game, you've shared something special. And so anytime, someone asks me about this, there's a story, there's a connection. And generally a lot of people know someone who was at that game, and they got to experience firsthand the All Blacks doing something that had never been done before. I love this, it's cool. Well, you can't always talk about your wins, and I was part of probably the most famous loss of this trophy here.
And Wilson!
And I think that's what made it special, is because when you lose something, you want to get it back. And that's what competition should be about, and that's what was great about the era that I played. And I think comfortably the best era that Australian rugby has ever had, in the late 90s, early 2000s, where they were World Cup winners, World Cup finalists, a remarkable group of players. And so if I go back to where I started, I don't like talking about George Gregan.
It's a save by Gregan as Wilson went for the match-winning try. Little George
But I have to,
Gregan.
a lot. But that was the motivation for me and for that. And so when you talk about games that have meaning, that was my biggest challenge as a rugby player in 1994. I played one test match that year, and it was that test. The next year was a Rugby World Cup, and clearly we didn't get the job done in the final against South Africa. But there was another challenge for me that year, was to win this thing back. Because the year before, I'd let it literally slip through my fingers. Literally slip through my fingers. So in 95, I did one of the most ridiculous try-scoring celebrations I've done in my entire career. And that's saying something. And David Campese gave me nothing but grief. To be fair, it was him that I'd sort of run around. But to win it back in 95, to defend it in 96 and 97, and then to have it go and Australia claim it, and I wasn't able to get it back before I ended my career. But that's when you knew something meant something. And I remember those weeks, they were different. Preparing for those games, Australia and South Africa, two vastly different teams, two vastly different challenges. But this thing back then, it was highly competitive. They were a remarkable group of players, and they brought the best out of each other. And I think that's when you saw the best of those two teams, when they come up against each other and how much it meant. So for me, have I got fond memories of it? Not my first, but a period there where there were games that you could tell how much it meant to teams and to players. And I remember in 95 getting it back, holding on to it in 96 and 97. Do I like the fact that we've held it for the last 20 years? No, because I'd like to think we'll see our glory days again between the All Blacks and the Wallabies. But for me, it had a massive influence on my rugby career. It was a huge motivator. And when we won it, we celebrated.